Adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming. It's a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives.
My name is Trevor, and I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old.
On this show, we look to prove that just because you became a dad
Does not mean it's game over.
and not only could that new games exist in the classical format that you might think about, these games might exist for Jeff in a new reality altogether. The virtual reality, folks. We are talking about the potential for the Quest 2 to show up in Jeff's household in the most fantastical, relatable way I think we've ever heard in the show. Now, quick, before you get... I'm burying the lead a little bit.
Okay.
Have your kids yet purchased a game that came into your house where you were saying, awesome, I'm glad my kids bought this because now I'm going to play it?
No, that has never happened.
Okay.
That has never happened.
Because that makes this all the more exciting, because describe what you're staring down the barrel of for what your kids might bring into that household.
Yeah, so if we have longtime listeners here, you know that we are fan favorites of VR. I love VR. I think it's great. I am stuck with the old PSVR, and it's just kind of cumbersome to wire up and play with, and it's a little dated, right? So my kids are very much into gaming. We've been having conversations of almost like there's too much gaming going on. We should cut back, whatever. The holidays roll around. You know, they're gaming quite a bit. And they decided one day around supper, they're like, okay, Mom and Dad, they get their wallets out. And we're like, okay, well, what's going to happen? There's going to be a deal here. There's going to be something.
Like literally, like they just they slammed their wallets on the table.
They have their wallets out. They've been doing some, coordination. And they start slamming down Amazon cards, gift cards, like Pokemon cards. They're just like 1, 2, 3, 4, all these Amazon gift cards that they've just saved up either from birthdays or just the past Christmas, right?
Yeah.
And they're saying, okay, Mom and Dad, Elton and I, or like my 10-year-old, want to buy a virtual reality headset. And
Oh my goodness.
to me, like, just staring down, like, I have to put on my poker face, right? Because I'm excited, because, like, again, as a dad who has never had a game come into the house where I wanted to play it that I have not, like, purchased myself, I very much want to play a VR headset that's newer. And so they're like, we have enough, we've done the math, we have enough to buy a Quest 2 on Amazon.
That's so cool.
And I'm like, I just immediately think of you. I'm like, well, Trevor has really pumped up the Quest, so
Trevor
like,
likes it.
I mean, why not? But it's like one of those things where you're like, I'm very excited. Thank you for this opportunity. We have to kind of discuss ground rules because they have never shared something like that, especially something hundreds of dollars worth like that.
So I'll say that, so let's get into it. But the first part is I do love you controlling your external reaction. Like inside Jeff is woo.
Oh my! I'm like, yes. You know when you're like, it's happened.
Use your money to buy a console and bring it in. Finally, these kids are paying off. So I love the difference between internal Jeff and external Jeff.
Yeah.
But somewhere there must be precedent, because I imagine I think we discussed it before on the show, like my older brother and I, as kids, pooled our money together to get a Super Nintendo, to get a PlayStation, and it's contentious. And I imagine you and your brother had the same type of situation.
Yeah, so I don't know about your past, if it was as colorful as mine with console ownership. But basically, it went as far back as Nintendo 64 when we both got that as a Christmas gift, right? That was to both of us. And I pawned that sucker in and got a PS1 for Final Fantasy VII. So,
Nice.
I'm the firstborn. I kind of took that on and say, hey, let's do this, and, pumped it up. And my brother was all for it. He's 3 years younger than me. And then from there, we bought the PS2, which we halved on, which was a lot of money. I took that to college. So left him without anything. And then I came back from college and it was like, oh, the PS3's out. Do you want to go in on that one? And, my brother's like, sure. Like, I'll put a couple hundred to it. And that one was an expensive one. I think I have that sitting in my basement still. The big PS3.
Then for the PS4, it's like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, the PS4 was actually a gift from my brother for Christmas because it was so hard to get. And he found one, and that was like, the long history. So, like, I have, not brainwashed him, but like allowed him to support conditioned my console gaming habit. So I can see it from afar, right? And I know what my 13-year-old is doing to my 10-year-old. And it's like one of those things like, okay, who actually wants it and who's actually going to have the power to play it? Because immediately my 13-year-old is going to be like, no, my turn, right? Oh, you've had 5 minutes. My turn, plays for an hour. Like, that's how this thing's going to work out, right? And then, where do we go from there? Like, is this going to be a thing? I don't know.
But you got to let it happen. Like, it's just, it's a tale, besides your own personal benefit to it, it's a tale as old as time. Like, this type of social contract and tomfoolery and hoodwinking is exactly how you learn, like, to get along in the world. So I think, like, there is no question you have to let them do it, in my mind.
And really, it's just an evolution of what I've been doing, right? Because now I don't even have to pay for this thing, and I can just take it.
Exactly.
Like, it's bedtime. All right, Daddy's playing in VR. Like,
I swear to you, what we'll do is we'll record a podcast episode in it. So you can record. You can record in 3D. So we'll create I think you can go into each other's like worlds, and we'll still do the audio here, but the entire thing will be done in 3D. For the first, like, for the quest, we'll see if we can actually just do the whole episode. It's not going to be the new thing, but just for the very least, your first episode.
Right, when we get it, is what you're saying, right? Is when this happens. Yeah.
It kind of sounds like a foregone conclusion to me. Well, what do I know?
I mean, again, they, put in that they held off on buying things in order to save up to get something that they really want. So I can appreciate that. It is a lot of money, and it's, something that they do have to take care of. Like, if it breaks and they fight over it, like, that's something that we have we have to figure out that situation. But also, like, this is your responsibility, right? You do have to be aware that these things are, they are expensive. If you have friends over, whose friends are going to play it, blah blah blah. You have to figure all that stuff out, because that had to be some conversations with my own brother, right?
Yeah.
If he had friends over and I had friends over, who's playing at that time, right?
Yeah, I think there'd have to be. Okay, so how would you want to approach it then? Because, like, speaking of boundaries, how are you going to approach it? Do you think at this moment? The best part is, like, we can record for the show what you think is going to happen.
Yeah, that's right.
And then where we end up. But I've had similar conversations with my kids around. It's the framing. It's like, okay, we have fun playing games every single weekend, but that is based on the fact that you are going to school on time, you're not causing a fuss, like, you're trying your absolute best, like, you're trying to get your marks, and that's your responsibility. And then the game results as part of that. So your kid's like flying into to set down the ground rules for the purchase. It's like, otherwise I'll take it away. Go in my office and you'll never see it again.
Right.
So, like, but what you could say is, like, all right, what do you think the ground rules will be for? You guys have to work with a timer, or like how do you think you can best? I don't know if you've had much time to think about it. It sounds like it's fairly new, but how would you try to set them up for success to share the very first console, given your history?
There has to be timers. So my kids will go in to a virtual reality space and never come out, let alone, play on the couch through a flat TV screen, right? So it's something that timers will definitely have to take part in. And maybe this is something that we, like, step into slowly. So maybe during the school week, it is a no-go, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday maybe is fine. But through that Monday to Thursday, we don't really dip into it to start, because I think it is something that I'm not saying it's definitely more immersive, right, than just jumping on your laptop, console, whatever. maybe it's something that we look at, just time constraints around that. And just being at, actually what started this was over the holidays, we went out for Christmas with friends and went back to their house, and they had a Quest 2. So immediately they were introduced there, and I totally blame them. If they're listening, I blame you, and you should probably kick in a couple hundred.
At least for some games.
Yeah, but it's like one of those things where my 13-year-old was hogging it there, and I had to come out and break it up, right? So there has to be some sort of timer, like some physical thing.
Wait, your kid has already been caught like hogging it from a like time perspective, and someone else's Quest. You don't even own it yet.
Somebody else's Quest, and then they said so. My 13-year-old, apparently you can second screen it like through a phone.
Yeah.
So my 13-year-old said, "Oh well, you can watch me." And I go out there, and my 13-year-old's in the whatever virtual world they're in, and my 10-year-old is sitting at the dinner table with his phone watching him in this game. I'm like, what? No, you need to switch. So yes, there has to be some rules, and maybe it's like every other day, so people know, so they know right away if it's their day. Like their shower night is there also their virtual reality night, or vice versa, right? Like something that is like in routine. So I don't know. Maybe I'll let you know. I don't know if this has been a problem for you. I don't know if the kids can touch yours.
No. So they're younger. So my oldest is only 8. So I've been wary of letting them touch it so far, both just from a don't break daddy's stuff standpoint, but also just like from an eye type of thing. I think I want to give them a little bit more development time. Although largely it seems more about, it's not like they see it once and like all of a sudden they could be blind. It's more about timing. So if they're spending 6 hours a day, they're going to start to ruin their eyes.
Yep.
But anyway, I haven't had to deal with it, so this will be good. So you'll
this will be good.
Often you'll chart the course,
right?
And kind of let it. Look, there's 2 fascinating things that you need to keep us up to date on, and one is just the first console that they've split. It wasn't. It didn't end up being a PS5. It wasn't a Steam Deck. It was a VR headset.
Yeah.
And then 2, the reality of having gaming kids play with a VR headset. That is so cool.
Yeah, I can see this happening and maybe ending badly, but I'll be on record here saying at least I tried to work it out in my head and bring back some rules and guidelines and boundaries, but we'll see where this goes.
Yeah. Hey, gaming dads listening, if you have tips, if you have a VR headset for your kids in your house, do they buy their own, and were you able to set some good boundaries or rules that worked out for you or worked out terribly?
Yeah.
All those stories and more, would love to hear about it. Reach out to us at our website, newdadgaming.com, on X at newdadgaming, or Instagram newdadgaming as well. Now, I am curious if there is a VR game for room cleaning simulator.
Yeah.
Because it seems like perhaps you could train your kids on how to clean their room in between the little sessions, because it sounds like, despite the fact they don't like to clean their room in real life, they love setting up their room and unpacking, which happens to be a fantastic game. So what has happened with your kids' bizarre desire to clean up virtually?
Yeah, so I had unpacking as part of PS Plus that I had loaded into the PlayStation one day over the holidays again, something that would just a chill vibe game that I could just, float with, right? Mm-hmm. Well, my 10-year-old comes down, and usually in the morning, they're allowed to game quietly if they start their laundry, right? Like that's something that they can do as long as the laundry's in the machine. They can go to the screen for a bit. And I find them in this game, like burning through it, which is all about a game about unpacking boxes of stuff and junk and organizing it into the rooms so much so that it everything has its spot and you pass the level, right? So they are meticulously going through and organizing like markers and pencils and erasers all in little drawers and everything in these rooms, these virtual rooms. And I said, well, okay, you did part 1 of your chores before screen, which is laundry, but you also have to clean up your own room. And the look I got, like, I don't want to do that. Meanwhile, this TV screen is running with like virtual cleaning. This is what you're doing right now. Why don't you want to clean your room? You could apply this upstairs and everything would be right.
You could all this fun, all of the fun that you were having, setting up your room and reorganizing and optimizing it. You have a physical room for free at any minute.
You can do this. Yes.
And your parents would be so very happy if you did it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they were color coordinating. So I'm watching the screen now, and there's a wardrobe where you put all the clothes in. Mm-hmm. They were making it just like a spectrum. So they're organizing it all in rainbow. I'm like, okay, listen, you have a closet. You can do this. There's socks on the ground. Roll them up like this person did in the virtual little drawer. They have their rolled up socks, and you put them in there, right? Perfect. The bathroom. What you did in the bathroom, beautiful. Love it. Can you please apply that to the bathroom you have upstairs, right? Put away your stuff.
That's just so perfect.
Did not translate at all. I'm like,
just staring at you like it, just like you have three eyes. Like it's like, what is this creature? What does he say? No, I don't want to. Like, I'm playing a game. I'm not organizing.
Yeah, I don't want any of that. I want to do it here with the controller on the TV screen.
That's the real trick with our gaming future, is where like the real great game will be where a robot is secretly in your room that you're controlling. And it's mapped out your room, and as you organize your actual room, they think they're playing a game of unpacking, but really there's another autonomous robot in the other room just doing the commands to clean up the damn place. It's right. Like, aha, you did chores, jerk. Yeah. No.
Look at that, huh?
You're getting all pissed off. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like, what are some other like cleaning ones? There's like, is it visceral cleanup detail? There's an entire game where I think it's you are the guy that shows up after like the demon slayer has gone through and all the walls are just splattered and everything. Your whole point is like to clean it up. Power Wash Simulator.
Power Wash Simulator is another good one. Yes. Yep.
This whole subgenre where it's like perhaps there is some parent group that commissioned these games. It's like, if we get them to really into cleaning, like maybe it'll translate to real life.
I can attest that it does not yet, but maybe it's just through exposure that they will just have this love of like, you know what, I really need to just tidy up a little bit here.
Yeah, I can attest that is a lie. It doesn't happen whatsoever.
It's like one of those things that flash on the screen with like parenting reviews. You're like, this doesn't work. 5
Total
out of 5.
lie. Thanks. Now my kids are cleaning up their virtual room, and their actual room is a pig pen.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for nothing unpacked.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. Either way, I still think it's great. That's fantastic. Did you play this game? Did you like it?
I did play this game. It is a very chill and peaceful game. So if you're looking for something that's just like mindless, totally recommend it. If it's something that you do not like organization and putting things exactly where they need to be, you will not like this game. Like everything has to have a place, otherwise you don't pass the level.
Okay, but is it like, so it is like now, for instance, we're watching a level and there's some sort of horse picture which they put on one wall, and then there's a music poster which they put on the other.
Oh, that's fine.
Like you could swap around some stuff, so it's not like 100% things have a.
No, like it's just the books have to go on the bookshelf. They can't go on the floor. The bedroom stuff has to go in the bedroom. It can't go in the washroom. And then it's actually cool how it leads you through time. So this person starts out with like a Game Boy, and then it goes into like a GameCube, which we never owned, and then like a gaming PC, and you can see their life evolve. But it does have some flexibility, but you do need to find a spot for everything, and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming when you have all these boxes. So.
Gotcha.
That's something. Yeah. I mean, look, you might be virtual cleaning after the show. Who knows?
Yeah, not likely. But however, I could do it. I've been playing probably more games than I have in the last couple years, and that largely is to do with the success of game streaming for me.
Nice.
So we'll transition to this story. Now, this is again, listeners of the show will know that I had taken a bet with a phone upgrade. So it was my time to upgrade my phone, and looking at the options, I was transitioning from an iPhone mini. So tiny little like 4.5-inch thing.
It's really small.
It is a fantastic phone.
Yes.
But I decided on a whim, or not on a whim, like I'd thought through the use case. It's like, what I'm going to do is go the exact same opposite. So I got the iPhone 14 Plus. which this thing is jacked. It is so big. Like I cannot. It was hard to comprehend how large it is. Like it's really hard to use because my hands have gotten so used to an itty bitty phone. But that all being said, the reason I went for the 14 and not the 15 is because it's still connected to the backbone that I had.
Oh right, yeah.
14 has the connector. The 15 does not. The lightning port that was needed.
Is that still the phone that can run like Resident Evil out the box, or is that the 15?
That's the 15. So they made that exclusive to the 15. So I'd thought that. I thought that'd be pretty cool, but no, that was only 15. That was your upgrade decision.
Oof, yeah.
Now,
okay.
however, so what ends up happening though is like that backbone with the iPhone 14 Plus, which is just absolutely massive. And small plug for backbone. I plugged in my device, and it immediately popped up and said, "Hey, this phone ends up being a little tighter than we would like for this particular device. But listen, click here. We'll send you completely free, like an adapter that's going to make it fit a little bit better." And by free, I mean free. Like they paid for even shipping. And I've had this thing for like over a year. I've probably had this thing for like a year and a half. And I plug in this new device, and they're like, "Hey, we don't really like how this fits. We'll send you something for free to fix it."
Wow. Okay.
I said, and completely free shipping. Everything else showed up like in a week. Like it was really, like kudos, like that, excellent. Like customers type of support. You don't see that type of thing coming along. All suffice to say, anyways, like what I wanted to put out there. We've said this a few times. At very least I have, and this has absolutely come to fruition. I've never been playing more games than I have been, and the most reliable one. It's not even some of the paid streaming services. So great, wonderful. Like there's PlayStation, there's Game Pass, Nvidia Now, Luna. There's a ton of paid versions, but the most use that I've had, the most reliable and enjoyable streaming experience has absolutely been just my gaming PC connected to Ethernet in my basement office. And then I'm upstairs, like lounging with my wife, which is awesome in and of itself, but playing on my phone, but streaming my own games and streaming my entire Steam library.
Oh, cool.
So Steam and Steam streaming is an entirely free app, just works with your computer. So you're not paying for anything else. I'm just streaming my own games in my own house to my device.
Yeah.
And the question is like, well, why don't you just like sit on your laptop? It's like, well, there's a disconnect. I wanted to also like be just around my wife more as well, and this year as well. And the problem is like, okay, I'm going to have like a 1 hour gaming session, which means, all right, I'll just lock myself in my dungeon office again, away from her, as opposed to being like up and present. Not to mention, I feel a little bit like a game. Okay, well, I have to like leave wherever I am, come downstairs and set it up, as opposed to, just bring out the phone, always with you, always right there, and you can just play.
Yeah.
So, again, it is a call to gaming dads, especially with, I've talked about Game Pass. Great, but that's like, it's a paid service. And maybe that's just not your jam. Absolutely, like look into finding and you don't need the backbone either, to be very clear. Like you can use an Xbox controller, the PlayStation controllers, like PS4 controllers, pair really well with iPhones and Androids. So get one of your old controllers, connect it to your phone, Android or iOS, connect it to your gaming PC with Ethernet, stream for free, and just give it a shot. And I think like you gaming dads, much like myself, will find they're playing a lot more stuff. Nice. Which is just amazing. Now, new year, new update. Steam Deck, how is it working in your roster? Is it still, are you driven to be playing your old backlog? Are you off of it and back to your PS5? Like, what's your mix at the moment?
I am almost 99% Steam Deck. It's just, again, like you're saying, it's so easy. I think I've even asked our audience, what's a game that I can just grind away on while the TV's on and stuff. Like, I don't need any volume and sound, and the fact that I can stream PS5 games to it, no problem, and my Steam Deck stuff, where I just have access to everything. I am 100% with you on just streaming whatever you can to where you are. So yeah,
you live in that.
Last year's data will be the same this year. I don't know. We'll see.
Still living that couch stream gaming life for dad. I like it.
Yeah, it's so comfy.
Join us. Exactly. Oh, no, that is a interesting turn of phrase. One of us, one of us.
One of us, that's right.
And that you might say you're among us. And that beautiful transition
Sus.
was yes. I wanted to call it out because I, in a sense, relented and decided to let my kids dip into Among Us and see what it was like. So that in and of itself was, like, I thought notable because that's something we've kind of been pushing off a bit. It was mostly because of the online element.
Yeah.
The game itself, it's cartoonish, like it's silly. Like they found much worse stuff on Roblox.
Oh yeah.
So it's not as
probably
if
found this game on Roblox somewhere.
yeah, I guarantee it, right? So with all that said, it's like, all right, they really pushed on me. It's like, tell you what, let's give it a shot. Let's see where it goes and see how it happens. And this was even an update for you. What I wanted to call out was that Among Us is the company. What is the company? Inner Sloth.
Yes.
Their parental controls around it was fantastic. So,
Good.
So
Good to
you
hear.
load up. I'll say that I'm glad I did it because my first parental impulse, and I'm glad I almost did call this a PSA, would have ruined it. So you install Among Us, you sign up, create like a name, and then how old are you? And my gaming dad impulse was sort of like,
Right.
if I don't say 18, I'm not even sure they're going to be allowed to play.
Exactly. Yeah.
So is this going to be dad renting his kids Predator, the movie?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, all right, kids, here it is for your sleepover. Don't tell your mother.
Right.
However, it's like, no, let's give this a shot. So I just put in his actual age. It's like, okay, cool. You have to get parental consent in order for you to play this, and your parents going to have a couple controls. So what is your parents' email?
Okay.
And then I think I'm probably butchering that part of it necessarily, but it was sort of, how old are you? Okay, you're this old. You need to get permission from a parent. How do you contact them? Next thing you know, I get this email, and I'll share this up on screen because we did verify there's nothing in it. You get an email. It's like, hey, your child would like to access Roblox, Among Us. Here's some of the things that you can set so you can control their experience to let us know like how they want to do it. And if you get into it, let's actually like review it. Okay, so free text chat. Do you want them to be able to send and receive just any text?
Right.
Because what this locks it down to is that when it comes to chatting, there are, for everybody, some set number of answers.
Yeah.
You can only enter in these 20 things. So nobody's like typing in garbage into the chat.
Yeah.
Now, that detracts from the game a bit because this is all about, subterfuge and like trying to...
Yeah, you bluff your way out of it kind of thing.
So that's unfortunate. But still, as a parent, and it's like they're still on the younger side, it's like, great, no garbage chat inside of it. Custom display name. Do you want them to be able to set their own display name in case they want to put, maybe they put something that's a bit too revealing or some nonsense?
Yeah.
Account linking. Well, that's just like, okay, do you want them to have the same account across their devices? And then friends list. And this one is like, they can't create or maintain a friends list. Now that was now this one's interesting because if you just play with some random person, and they like, you can do this as the parent for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if their cousins call, okay, you can set them up and they'll be fine. But if like, Johnny, totally not a cop, 95, says,
Right.
wants
Yes.
to become good friends with your child, this basically says, nah, there's none of that. So what you're able to, through these settings that they made super simple, the sign up process, unbelievably simple. They tried to log into Among Us. They said, hey, what's your parents' email? It came to me, and it's like, hey, click here, you'll be logged in immediately. Okay, this kid wants to play. Do you want to let them?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
and now that they can, here's what you can set. So I imagine they must have gotten just an absolute swell of kids when the game became popular, especially on streaming services.
I was about to say, because I don't know if they had all this when it kind of like first launched, and maybe now that I don't think it's played as much through the high age streamers. So high age being 25 to our age, but maybe more of the kids now are getting into it where they have to have these kind of controls, which is great. Sounds fantastic. Sounds like this makes it more comfortable to step into. versus just like the Wild West. And you're like, well, I'm exposing my kid to whatever chat's out there. That's great.
I know. So there's no AI, unfortunately. So you do have to play multiplayer.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It'd be pretty hard to fake it, I think, with computers.
I think you could probably tell. And kids are pretty smart. They'll be like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Red did it.
So that's fun. That's exciting. And I just, like I said, I was enthused that they took such care for anybody younger. You put in an age, you're under 18, you're going to get these emails. Now, if your kid is... it's going to work only... I wonder what the age is. Maybe it's even 14. Because at some point... Like, I don't know if... Do your kids have emails?
They do.
So... But now, as I was saying this, would your kid have just put in their own email and bypassed all this?
Possibly, but I have access to their email. So
Okay.
like until, we kind of, let them fly free, there's been a number of, password recovery emails. And I'm like, you can't keep resetting your password because you can't remember it. And I get pinged with all these emails. So I don't think they bypassed this. And I think my kid I think they even had to use my phone when this came out because we don't have Game Pass or anything. So,
All right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it works up to an age. But either way, I just wanted to mention it's interesting that last one, all of this goes on. They're super excited to play, and they get into they're trying to find a lobby, and nobody was there.
Oh no, that's the worst.
I don't know if it's because they're age restricted, and then like when you're setting up a lobby, I have to try otherwise. Is it like I want to play, but I only want to play where I can do voice chat, and I only want to play where I can type. So anybody who says no, I can't do these things, kind of gets like relegated to the side. But we'll try it another time. Anyways, kudos to the company. That's awesome. If you've been on the fence about Among Us, want to do it, there are now fantastic parental controls. It could be something you add into the mix of your gaming household.
Nice. It's a good experience. Sounds like we need to start a New Dad Gaming support group and just have a bunch of everyone's kids. They start a server.
Yeah, we're making sure it's all safe.
Yeah.
Except for the one gaming dad who just wants to like run shop and like win against everybody.
I just need some wins in my life. Yeah.
Dad, maybe there should be some sort of dad versus kid version of that.
There should be.
I remember we had at various times, one of the highlights of hockey was once a year we'd have like the kids versus dads. Let's say this, leading up to next time I interview my dad, I'll have him tell the story because he loves this story.
Okay.
Because up to now we were younger, so they didn't, the dads are like, oh no, and they fall over and like let the kids score.
Right.
But one year they didn't hold back.
Oh yeah.
And they just murdered us. Like we were just so upset. They were relentless. It would have been something like 40-0.
Oh my.
It was embarrassing. Like we were so dejected. And they're like, they said you wanted us to try. You got it. This is what you're doing.
They just played the long game, right? Like they were like, no, we need to build this up over multiple years, then crush them.
Yeah. We beat you every year. It's like, because we let you. It just demolished us. I imagine that's the gaming equivalent. Be like the first time you actually, like your kid's like, yeah, you suck at Mario Kart. It's like, all right.
All right, now the gloves are off. I'm sorry, kid.
And then next round you just like lap them and give them a real taste. Anyways, I
wanted this.
Imposter and everything else. I would be curious to see how it might go. But that wraps that up for the show, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. Do you have recommendations for how to best split a console between two kids? Did you have a good experience with Among Us? Did you have a chill game like Unpacking, or have you yourself gone into streaming, or have you been on the fence about it? We'd love to hear all of these things and more. Tell us your stories. We'd love to feature them on the air. Reach us at newdadgaming.com or at newdadgaming on all of the socials. If you do find it, you can find the podcast on all of the major podcasting networks. We'd really appreciate a subscription so you can get notified when we have a new episode. What would really help along with subscription is if you can like and leave a comment. Help us boost the signals to all the other gaming dads as we try to grow a network of people to create a Among Us server where we can maybe finally win a game. But otherwise, everybody send it in. Thanks so much for listening. Subscribe. And until next week, my name is Trevor, and I have a 8-year-old and a 6-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, and that might be giving me some quests. I don't know. We'll see.
New quest unlocked, buddy, in the greatest fashion possible.
That's right.
Remember, everybody, just because you became a dad
Does not mean it's game over.